Good morning, everybody. I've got a really sore throat and reflux, so if I sound a bit odd, that's why. I'll try to speak into the mic and be mindful of it. I wanted to speak a little bit about Ukraine. Yesterday, President Zelensky gave a talk to the Houses of Parliament in the UK. It's never happened before that a foreign power has been invited to speak to the House of Commons and the House of Lords, but Zelensky did it, and President Zelensky did it very well, and it was received very well. The Foreign Minister for Ukraine was also in the House of Commons. And I've got to say, I am full of admiration for the leadership of the Ukraine, full of admiration, and for the people of Ukraine. I've donated. I'm hoping also to do a little bit locally. We've got a lot of Polish people and Eastern Europeans round and abouts. So I don't know whether there's going to be any Ukrainians moving here. If there are, then you can bet I'll get more involved also. So Putin, for the past 8 years, well, longer than that really, but let's just say the past 8 years, Putin has been increasingly obsessed with Ukraine. He snatched and annexed Crimea as being part of Russia. Now he wants the rest. He wants Ukraine. He won't be satisfied until he's got Ukraine, because he believes it's Russian territory, that Ukraine in itself is not a state, that there's no such thing as Ukraine, and there's no such thing as the Ukrainian people. Which is why Putin is going to have absolutely no qualms about wiping Ukraine and wiping Ukrainians off the map. He accuses the Ukrainian government and officials as being pro-Western puppets, or worse, neo-Nazis, which is far from the truth. Ukraine is a pro-democracy, free speech, something that isn't allowed in Russia. Excuse me. If you're caught telling a lie in Russia, you're jailed for up to 15 years. That's if you get out at all. And a lie can be anything from disagreeing with what the government says, for example, automatically a lie. Is what's happening now. The protesters against the war are being rounded up, arrested and thrown into jail. How could he, Putin, how could he even imagine that it would be acceptable to Ukraine, acceptable to anybody, to say that there will be a ceasefire, but all Ukrainians, rather than going to Poland, Finland, wherever else they're going, have got to come into Russia. So what he's saying is Russia is bombing you out of house and home. Russia is killing your loved ones. But Russia is inviting you in to make your home here. How cynical that man must be. The irony of it can't pass anybody. Why would you want to go there? You wouldn't. I wouldn't. There was a man, I said this before, his wife, their 2 children, just in the road, and a Russian soldier just used them like he would shoot sitting ducks at a fairground. He shot them, unarmed, an unarmed family going about their business, and they were shot. And Putin is saying, come to Russia. I don't think so. I've written a couple of things down. Yeah, I've written that Putin will never convince Ukrainians to relinquish their loyalty to Ukraine, to their sovereign country. They will never relinquish their loyalty. And I believe they will fight until the death. They will. And those most vocal, if Russia wins the war, if there is no agreement and Russia wins the war, then you can bet President Zelensky, and every member of his cabinet will be murdered by the Russians, by Putin, on Putin's orders. I've put here, genocide on an unimaginable scale will be a reality should Russia win this war. I believe that to be the case. If they win the war, there are going to be camps for displaced Ukrainians. There are going to be a lot of Ukrainians who disappear, notably the most vocal ones, or even somebody like me who will come on and say, give an opinion. They will be rounded up and they will disappear. You know, that's why Russia, we can't allow Russia to win. Cannot win. I put Putin is a criminal tyrant who will pay the consequences for his actions. Now, I mentioned this in a video the other day, that in Salisbury, on Putin's orders, ex-Soviet agents, a father and daughter, were poisoned by somebody sticking an umbrella filled with poison on the tip. The man died. I would not put it past Putin's own government and his own generals turning against him, because quite frankly he's a murderer and a madman. He wants Ukraine wiped off the map. The word Ukraine never to be mentioned again. He wants Ukrainians, either they fully commit to Russia wholeheartedly, or they will disappear. They will die. So that's what I wanted to say. I wonder also whether Putin is so pumped up with testosterone, because I know he's into bodybuilding. Sounds silly, Oh gosh, it sounds silly, but it isn't really. And I wonder whether he's so pumped up with testosterone that it's fueling this mad aggression. He's got nobody to rein him in. He's got nobody to dampen him down. Nobody. Putin sees himself as the Tsar of Russia, the next Tsar, the new Tsar of Russia, not merely a president. He's got a £43 million yacht, for goodness sake, a toy to play in, while the Russian people live, a lot of them live in dingy little apartments, some of them with no running water. Not all, but some. A country that wealthy in fossil fuels, in gas, in oil. Why are people living that way? Think on what I've said. If Russia wins the war, there will be no Ukraine. There will be no Ukrainian people. I don't know how many have died so far and how many Russian soldiers have died so far. Thousands. Thousands of individuals. Look at me, I'm one. Multiply it by thousands. Because of this lunatic's obsession with stealing that territory. It's like, as I said, Boris Johnson suddenly having a fit and saying, right, we're going to invade Scotland. Scotland belongs to us. Anybody with a Scottish accent, they'll be wiped out. Can you see how nonsensical it is? The man is a murderer. He's a murderer. And one way or another, he will pay for his crimes, one way or another. It's just such a pity that the Russian people have to pay with the sanctions and, the deprivations that are going to come, all because of one single man. One single mad man. I never thought I'd see anything like it in my lifetime. Then again, never thought I'd see anything like COVID, like the plague. What comes next? Dread to think. I'll speak to you all later. God bless. Have a lovely day. And please, the genuine outlets there are, donation, where you can go and pay something just to donate, even if it's only a couple of pounds, a couple of dollars, it'll make you feel better. And multiplied by thousands, that's going to be quite a lot of money, because Ukraine is going to have to build right from the bottom brick up. And what they can't build, what they can't rebuild, is the loss that some families have suffered, all through Putin. Ukrainian and Russians, the losses that they've suffered through that man. Okay, I'm going to go and soothe my poorly throat, and I'll speak to you all later. Lots of love. Bye-bye.